So, all right, good afternoon, BS Criminology first year, and welcome to lesson 2. Finally, we are now on the lesson 2 under chapter 1. So, last meeting, we have discussed about the nature of Philippine history, where did the word history come from, and why is it that, how important it is uh, studying about history. And we also discussed about the different methods in historical analysis. And one of this was the historiography and the historical analysis. Okay. So again, in this slide, this is actually a video recorded class. The purpose of this is to to give chance for those who could not actually join our Google Meet. I am also considering those students who have a problem with their internet connection. This is the reason why I came up with this video recording. By the way, I will do some alternate schedule tayo. So there will be a week for this live wherein it will be uploaded on my YouTube channel, and the other 1 week will be allotted for our individual class. For example, you are in section A, so we have a schedule like what we did last meeting. And along with this, please write your name on the comment section and your name and your section. Okay, that's for our attendance, and your class secretary will be the one to note all of those names. No, ibig sabihin, those are the students who joined and who are present during this virtual class. Okay, this is also a virtual class, but what makes it different with the other classes we had last meeting, this one is recorded and you can watch it anytime. If you have some clarification or if there are some parts which you think difficult on your part, difficult to understand, to digest, now anytime you can go back on this link, on this YouTube channel, and you can watch this discussion. Okay? So let's continue. So I'm now sharing my screen to everybody. So again, do not skip this video because there are some questions. There are some questions along with this discussion. So if you have some answer later, just write your answer on the comment section. So our comment section there is open, or our chat box. So just write it there, your attendance and your answer. All right. So let's have just a little bit of recapitulation about the previous lesson, okay? For the benefits of those who were absent last meeting. Yes, that's last meeting we actually discussed the meaning of history, and it's from a Greek word, historia, which means learning by inquiry. So we also talk about factual history, like what, when, who. Speculative naman, it's about, it goes beyond facts. Like it's more on why, how. It's more on speculation. We also discuss about historical or historiography. It's a traditional method in doing historical research that focus on gathering of documents from different library archives and so forth. Also, we also emphasize the limitation of historical knowledge, wherein this limitation is due to the incompleteness of records. So we also discuss about it. There are some parts which are missing because of the incompleteness, yung hindi kompleto yung nakalap na mga evidences. We also discuss about the historical method in historiography. So that's it. And finally, we are now on lesson 2. This lesson 2 is the sources of historical data. So in here, we'll be discussing where did those sources come from? Are they reliable? Where are they from? How are they made? So we'll begin with the pre-discussion on historical data, which are sourced from artifacts that have been left by the past. So artifacts, ito yung mga ebidensya, ito yung mga sinaunang kagamitan, or minsan it's a remains, no? So, when we talk about artifacts, this can either be relics. Ano itong mga relics? Ito yung mga banga, or yung mga statue, or mga kagamitan ng mga sinaunang tao na ginamit nila during those early days. Whereas remains naman, this refers to yung mga buto, yung mga katawan ng tao, through that, with the help of anthropology. So, malalaman talaga nila kung ano ang mga historical event. Okay? Or ano ba talaga nangyari in the past. Something like that. Or the testimonies of witnesses to the past. Even that, when we say about testimony, it has something to do with oral. Ito rin sasabi ko sa inyo, these are some of the documents wherein they are not recorded, they are not stored, but they are orally restored. They are orally recorded. Because it's the elders or those who have experience, for example, in World War I, may mga tao pang naiwan or yung mga matatanda na buhay pa up to this day. So they are the testimonies or they are the eyewitness. So eyewitness, ibig sabihin, andun sila nung ginawa or during that event, during that incident. So it's still considered, okay, relics, remains, or testimonies of the witnesses to the past. Thus, historical sources are those materials from which the historians construct meaning. So that's it. So all of the creation of this knowledge or all of the information that we are reading today, they are all from these materials, no? Whether it's relics, remains, or testimony, because they are still artifacts. So malaki yung ginagampanan ng papel in discovering what really happened in the past. Okay? So that's it. That's how they construct meaning, or that's how they make details or information. Now, to re-articulate, a source is an object from the past or a testimony concerning the past on which historians depend to create their own depiction of the past. So it's all about that. It's all about the source, wherein this source is considered the object, and this object plays vital role in studying Philippine history. Sabi ko nga, di ba, no documents, no evidence, no history. Nothing will prove unless otherwise it's about testimonies. Testimony can be part or can be accepted as a valid reason or evidence. But if there are no testimonies, there are no relics, there are no remains, no history. That's it. Now, a historical work of interpretation is thus the result of such depiction. So that's it. No? All of this depiction, verdict, judgment, publication. So lahat ito sila is, they are created because of these resources. And what are the things they can be, they could publish, depend on the availability of these materials. So sabi ko nga, mahalaga yung papel na ginagampanan ng mga artifacts, ng mga sources na to para buuin, to restore, to rebuild the identity of Filipino. Who are, what are the lives of Filipino before? Are they really part of this colonization? Something like that. So they can be proven true if there are some proofs like remains, artifacts. It will be studied by anthropologists, archaeologists, and at last, they will reconstruct an image or identification. Now, the source provides evidence about the existence of an event, and historical interpretation is an argument about the event. Take note of this. The source provides evidence, so because they are the proof about the existence of an event. Ito na yung sabi ko. It's about proving what really happened in the past. Who are really the people under this colonization? Whereas historical interpretation is an argument about the event. Kumbaga, it's about what do you call this? It's about a pure knowledge, like what, when, who, and it's about analyzing or deepening the interpretation. So when we say interpretation, it is no longer a knowledge part. It's already something like analysis. Kung ikuha natin sa Bloom's taxonomy, medyo nasa higher order thinking skills na ito. Like, you have to argue about the past. Now, what to expect? These are the objectives of this chapter or lesson. First, discuss the meaning of historical data. We're done with that. Identify the different written and unwritten sources of history and differentiate primary sources from secondary sources. Now, when we talk about historical data, in a broad context, is a sort of collected, what do you call this? Collected data about the past, events, and circumstance pertaining to a particular subject. It enables the tracking of improvement over time, which gives key insights. So, kumbaga, historical data will serve as the heart of history. No, these are, I mean, these data are the heart of history because without it, we cannot do something. We cannot give some insight about the past, and we cannot track no, yung improvement or the evolution of human lives, the connection of the past and the present. Ano ba yung buhay ng mga tao? Ano ba yung gradual change na nangyari up to this modern time? So they can be proven or they can be tested or assessed using historical data. Okay? Now, relics or remains whose existence offers researchers a clue about the past. So, malaki yung nagkapanan ni relics and remains, no? And for example, the relics or remains of a prehistoric settlement, artifacts can be found where relics of human happenings can be found. Ano ba yung mga whereabouts sa mga tao in the past? Ano ba yung mga activities nila? So, maybe there are no persons who really witness what happened in the past, but these relics and the artifacts will tell about it, will tell for itself, will speak about itself through the help of some experts such as archaeologists and anthropologists. So with that, there are some interpretation, there are some results to be published out from these artifacts, out from the result. Now, artifacts can be found where relics, yes, that's right. For example, a potsherd or the potsherd, what else this? Yung mga banga-banga, yung mga pottery na ginawa ng mga tao, a coin, a ruin, yung mga nasirang mga places, that's it, wherein World War took place in that particular part, a manuscript, yung mga gawa, mga write-ups ng mga sinaunang tao in the past, especially Rizal, those who are really into writing in the past, a book, book, yung mga sinaunang aklat, na totoo talagang nangyari or it was published. Portrait, yung mga larawan, stamp, a piece of wreckage, a stand of hair ng tao, or the other archaeological or anthropological remains. So these things will be tested or will be examined by this archaeologist or anthropologist, and right after that, dyan nalabas yung result. Ano ba talaga ang buhay ng mga tao? What really happened? Ilang taon na ba? Through this artifacts. So with that, it's really, the role of these artifacts and other relics and remains are really indispensable in studying Philippine history. Now, these objects, however, are never the happenings or the events. If written documents, they may be the results of the records of events. Whether artifacts or documents, they are materials out of which history may be written. That's according to Howell and Prevenier. They are the materials which they sustain. They give data. They give idea. What will the historian write? Now, how about testimonies? Testimonies of witnesses, whether oral or written, may have been created to have a records as records, or they might have been created for some other purposes, all this describes events such as the record of the property, exchange, speeches, and commentaries. So ito yung mga eyewitnesses. These are the people who really witness what happened. So it can be through written or through oral. So usually pag patay na, so they write a sort of autobiography wherein it was stated all the happenings there. So pwede yung gamitin ng mga historian to study history. Now, there are these kinds of, the written sources of history. Written sources are usually categorized in three ways. May tatlong paraan yung, when it comes to written sources. We have the narrative or literature. Two, we have diplomatic or juridical documents, and social documents. So what are these things? First, when we talk about narrative, let me zoom it in so it will be visible to everyone. Now, when we say narrative or literature, or also known as literature, but my teacher in UST, she said, that it should be pronounced as literature. Everybody say literature. Okay. Thank you. Now, when we talk about narrative or literature, it's a chronicles or tracts presented in narrative form, di ba? It's more on written to impart a message whose motives for their composition vary widely. So these are sort of documenting something through writing. Through writing some literature, the history of the people. And Jose Rizal is known in this part. As we all know that Rizal had written a lot of novels, a lot of write-ups. We have Noli Me Tangere, El Filibusterismo, The Last, ano ba yun siya? My Last Farewell, or The Mumi Ultimo Adios. So those are creatively written, but it depicted the lives of Filipino before, and it revealed some reality in the past. No, that's why. But there are some problems today that there are, should I say, there are some issues arise that there are some changes. May mga mali daw. So medyo rare na yung maghanap ng mga original talaga ng mga gawa ni Rizal. But then again, we are actually enlightened of that. Hindi naman lahat mali. There are few information which are mistakenly written or recorded, but siguro 80% naman tama. During my high school, actually, when I was in third year in Esperanza National High School, we are taught about Noli Me Tangere. That's a good strategy. And when I was in fourth year, we are taught about El Filibusterismo. Like it gave us the idea about the lives of Filipino before, what is the life of Rizal, what is the life of Doña Victorina, diba? So kaway-kaway sa mga nakadaan sa Noli at saka El Filibusterismo. Sa mga wala, basa-basa din pag may time. Ha? Okay, let's move on. Now, for example, a scientific tract is typically composed in order to inform contemporaries of succeeding generations. A newspaper, ito yung mga contemporaries, article might be intended to shape opinion. That's an example of narrative. What else? So-called ego document or personal narrative. Sometimes we call it autobiography, no? Or should I say it's sometimes an editorial, no? Kasi it's about the judgment. It's about the opinion of the eyewitness, but this opinion is based on what happened during the time. See, he is liable or he is entitled to write that because siya ay eyewitness. Ibig sabihin, he was there during that time when this certain incidents happen. Okay? Now, we also have some ego. Yan. Isa din si diary, si memoir, no? It's not memoir, ha? There's somebody who read it memoir. It's memoir. Everybody say it's memoir. Okay? Not memoir, ha? It's memoir. So let's see now how to read it. Such as diary or memoir, and it was written personally by a certain person. Might be composed in order to persuade readers of the justice of the author's action. A novel or film might be made to entertain, to deliver a moral teaching, or to further a religious cause. A biography might be written in praise of the subject's worth and achievements. Now, in the case of novel naman, there are some variation. May mga novel kasi that they depicted life. We call it satirical. When you say satirical, ito yung mga klase ng movie. Although they are imaginary, they are made from the imagination, creativity of a certain director or writer. But they actually show what's the truth about the society. Diba? So isa nga dito yung mga gawa ni Rizal. I don't think if these works are already put into movie. No? But if there are, so pwede yung panoorin yan because it will bring you in the past. It will open your perspective about problem issues in the environment, in the society, from the past and up to the present. Biography. By the way, anong kaibahan ng biography at saka autobiography? Okay? So yung magsagot, I will give points again. What is the difference between biography and autobiography? Okay? Write your answer on the comment section. I will give you 1 minute. Again, ano ang kaibahan ng autobiography sa biography? Because it was mentioned here that biography can be an example of narrative or literature. Now, What is the difference? Short description lang. Write your answer and your name. Okay, your 1 minute starts now. Ano ang kaibahan ng biography at autobiography? So write your name here. Yan, makita niyo man siguro yan. This is it. This is our avenue for all of your responses. Write your comment here and I will check that because I will be checking this live again. And for me to check the attendance, or I mean to verify the attendance and to know all your responses. So are you done? Again, you have to differentiate ano ang kaibahan ng biography and autobiography. Okay, thank you so much. I will check your answer later. Okay, let's go back. So again, biography might be written in praise of the subject's worth and achievement. Sometimes it depicts, it reveals the life of a certain people. So anyway, I will wait for your answer. Their achievement, their everything about them, their whereabouts. Now, a narrative source is therefore broader than what is usually considered fiction. So that's it. Narrative source is quite broader because it encompasses a lot of information, a lot of events about an existence, about a certain problem. So how about diplomatic sources? So diplomatic sources are understood to be those which document, record an existing legal situation or create a new one. And it is this kinds of sources that professional historians once treated as the purest, the best source. Ito talaga yung mga dumaan talaga sa synchronized, sa systematic na process. Because from the word itself, diplomatic, where in narrative kasi, there are some parts which are written fictionally, no? May mga fiction, ibig sabihin, they are made, although there are some facts na nakalagay doon, pero most of the time, mayroong mga halo na kumbaga. May mga halo na ng mga creative styles in writing because most likely they are used to entertain aside from informing. But in diplomatic sources, ito yung mga dumaan talaga, ito yung mga record ng mga, from the government, ano ba yung mga na-document ng gobyerno, yung may mga tatak talaga na approved, may mga sealed, received, di ba? Especially ito makikita sa mga offices, no? So they are diplomatic sources and they are considered as the best source. Sila yung pinaka-pure or best source. Now, how about social documents? Now, social documents are information pertaining to economic, social, political, or juridical significance. They are records kept by bureaucracies. A few examples are government reports such as municipal accounts, research findings and documents like these parliamentary procedures, civil registry records, property registrar, and records of census. So, social documents, ito yung mga documents na hawak talaga ng mga public agencies, yung mga records sa NSO. Ano pa ba? Yung mga minutes ng meeting sa mga offices sa unang panahon. During the time of the time of Marcos. So ano ba yung mga documents na nagawa? Ano ba yung mga minutes of meeting? So kailangan nyo hanapin. Ano ba yung mga parliamentary procedures? No? So it's more on the minutes of the meeting makikita ito mga parliamentary procedures. Civil registry records sa mga civil registrar natin. So or nowadays we have PSA wherein we can get the personal data of this person and they are social document. Property registers, yung mga record nyo sa, for example, yung mga record ni Rizal sa mga universidad or sa mga paaralan na kanyang pinasukan. So pwede yung kunin as property registers. Records of census. Ito yung mga census kung ilang tao ba ang namuhay that day. Diba sa mga bahay niyo may mga census. That's still under PSA. So these are considered as social documents. Just wait for a while. Now, we'll move on to non-written sources of history. So ito yung mga non-written means they are maybe orally or they are true material evidence. Okay? So unwritten sources are essential as written sources. So ibig sabihin, mas mahalaga, mas importante ang unwritten sources because most of the time, ito yung mga totoo. No? Ito talaga yung mga legit. Kasi kapag written kasi, sinabi siya na mas reliable siya or mas essential siya as written sources kasi nga, they are really, these materials speak for themselves. Kumbaga, hindi mo na kailangan mag-create, hindi mo kailangan, kumbaga, hindi na siya manipulate ng isang writer kasi yun mismo pagkakita, mahal na yung anthropologist to really check ano ba yung totoo about this evidence, about this oral evidence or material. Hindi na pwedeng dagdagan ni writer ng mga kamiluan ng mga part ng mga discussion or mga hoax, something like that. No? Now, they are the two types, the material evidence and the oral evidence. So, when you say material evidence, ito na yung sasabi ko yan, yung mga artifacts, also known as archaeological evidence. Archaeological siya in the sense that these materials are examined by archaeology. So, yung mga kapag-interpret lang kung anong meron sa object nito, for example, let's say ito, cellphone, ito nasa ng tao, or let's say ito, gamit ito nasa ng tao. So, only archaeologists will tell kung anong meron dito and how does this object tell about the past. Okay? Now, this include artistic creations as pottery, yung mga banga-banga, jewelry, dwellings, graves, churches, roads, others. They are materials. They are objects wherein they help in rebuilding or restoring Philippine history. These artifacts can tell a great deal about. Di ba ngayon, yung mga artifacts, mga sinaunang banga, parang kung ibenta ngayon, masyadong mahal na siya. Mahal na yung mga cost nila, yung mga value nila. So yeah, no? These artifacts can tell a great deal about the ways of life of people in the past and their culture. Ito yung sasabi ko, like, these artifacts will speak themselves, will speak and will reveal about the life of the people in the past and their culture. Now, these artifacts can also reveal a great deal about socio-cultural interaction of different groups of people, especially when an object is unearthed in more one place. Unearthed means ito talaga is nakita originally from the place. I mean, the etymology of this object is really from this region. For example, itong banga na ito nakita somewhere in Aklan. So that will tell something about the life in Aklan, the life of the people. For example, itong banga na ito nakita sa Talakudong, I mean, sa Tacorong City. So this will tell about the life of the people in Tacorong. No? This will tell a lot of stories about this group of people. So, di ba? Sobrang mahalaga ang ginagana parang papel ng mga materials. Kaya, if you observe nowadays, mahal yung value ng mga material nito. If you're watching KMJS, ang daming episode that dealt with this object, yung mga nahukay na ganito, nakitang bato, nakitang sinaunang kagamitan. At so, during bidding, siya nang mahal yung presyo because this is a symbol, an emblem of the past. And this will tell a lot of story about the past. And this will help us rebuild and restore what's really about Filipino lives, our whereabouts, the life of our ancestors, and it will connect us kung ano yung connection niya in the future. Now, commercial exchange may also be revealed by the presence of artifacts in different places. Ano yung mga sinaunang yung mga barter na ginawa sa mga tao, even places that are thought to be significant such as garbage pits can provide valuable information to historians as this can be traces of former settlements. So ito yung kahalaga nila. They will trace former settlements. What are the lives of our ancestors in the past? how did they look for their foods? How did they drink their water? How do they live in their respective houses? Diba? So mahalaga, with the help of this disciplines such as anthropologists and archaeologists. So baka meron kayo sa bahay nyo, you can find it out. So, this will tell about your next activity. Maganda yung next activity niyo. Kasi maghuhukay kayo sa bahay niyo. Oh, I will explain that later, your next activity. So by the way pala, I'd like to congratulate everybody. I really appreciate the outputs that you have made. No? Your jingle, some actually they meet my expectation, yung iba naman nag-exceeds expectation, but I still consider those na naman na they even try their best. No? Kasi nga, they are not singer, they are not songer, no? They are just performing. But I really love your creativity. You know what? I am planning to give a reward or to recognize, i-recognize ko yung mga magagandang output in your section. So I will post it in our page maybe 2 weeks from now. Kasi you know what? Every night talaga nag-check na tinitingnan ko talaga yan. Then yung mga maganda ay kinukuha talaga. I'm giving them proper avenue or recognition. Okay? Okay, moving on. Now, how about oral event? Earlier, we talked about material, the objects. Ito naman si oral. Dito na yung papasok si Chismosa. Joke. Kasi minsan yung mga Chismosa, napapakinabangan naman yan sila. Kasi with that, with their statements, we can get something. Although maybe 10 to 90, 90-10, 90 yung chismis, 10 yung totoo, or maybe 1% yung totoo, 99% yung hindi. How about in your place? Gaano ba ka taala sa mga chismosa? And you know, nowadays, marami ng kaso, no? Kaya medyo ingat-ingat sa mga chismis. But as what I've said, no, mahalaga rin yung skills in speaking, skills in recording through mouth, skills in gathering information and share it to others. But this sharing should be in positive way. Like you share this because you want to inspire people, but others are using it to they try to drag down people, and that's something bad about making chismis. And that's what we're going to talk about, oral evidence. So, oral evidence, from the word itself, oral, it's from our mouth. How we articulate all of this. No? And through this articulation, through this oral statement of ours, it will give an avenue or maybe a sort of data that will restore our history. Now, oral evidence is also an important source of information for historians. Much is told by the tales or sagas of ancient people in the folk songs or popular rituals from the pre-modern period of Philippine history, something like that. During the present age, interviews are another major form of oral evidence. So, ito yung mga storya ng mga parents natin, like anong nangyari in the past. You know what, during my master's, I mean, before ko nakumpleto yung master's degree ko, so malaki yung papel na ginampanan ng oral evidence. So, it was my lola who really told me everything, but unfortunately, my lola is now dead. She already passed away. But before she passed away, marami siyang naibigay ng mga information about our tribe, about the literature of our tribe, of Teduray, the ancient, those notable histories, stories, folk songs, di ba? So these are considered as oral events. And ang ginawa ko is, gumawa ako ng book, gumawa ako ng module, wherein sinulat ko lahat ng mga sinabi sa akin ni Lola, and nowadays, buhay pa siya. So that's good about oral evidence if it is recorded. What's bad is that, di ba, for example, namatay na lang si Lola ko and I was not able to make some recording. So di ba parang pati yung culture namin mamatay na rin. So that's it in your family. If there's somebody who are known I mean, who are abreast in terms of telling a story, walang prochismis, telling the fact, and pas pwede mo silang interview, make some recordings about it, so pwede mo i-publish. No? And you know what, oral evidence can be accepted, no? For as long as the reliability of the informant ito yung source, this is the one who gives you the information through oral, no, oral process method, and you record it. So that will be considered. Kaya sa mga kaso-kaso, di ba, si witness through oral. So this is the the two types of unwritten sources, material evidence and oral evidence. Now, how about primary versus secondary sources? I know you're aware of this. When you say primary, this is considered as the first, diba ka, fresh na ebidensya pa ito, hindi pa ito nagamit, hindi pa ito na-reconstruct, it's fresh. You as an eyewitness, nakita mo yung pangyari, you are primary source. Or ano ba yung mga bagay na present na ginamit ni Magellan or ginamit ni Rizal na nakuha ng mga historian, that's primary. Whereas secondary naman, ito na yung out from this material. For example, may kinwento sa akin si Lola ko. So yung gawa ko ngayon, ito na is considered as secondary source. Si Lola ko is primary source with her story, with her folktales. Pero yung sinulat ko na sa module, ginawan ko siya ng module, ginawan ko ng libro, it's already considered as secondary source. So I hope you know the difference between primary sources and secondary sources. So let's just look at the schedule. Okay, we still have a few minutes. Kasi I will discuss pa later what will be our next activity. And I'm so excited about it. So, primary sources are original. Take note, original, first, fresh, first-hand account of an event or period that are usually written or made during or close to the event. Yung ginawa talaga siya during that event, pinicturan during that event, that's primary. These sources are original and factual, not interpretative. Not interpretative in the sense, hindi pa siya naisulat, hindi pa siya na-interpret. Kung ano talaga yung, for example, nag-record ako ngayon ng kanyang statement, that's first that's primary. Pinicturan ko, binidyohan ko yung pangyayari, that's primary. Because they are original, these are na-edit. Kumbaga raw, they are raw materials. Kasi minsan ngayon sa panahon, no, there are a lot of gadgets or application wherein they try to devastate the authenticity of a certain source. So kaya ito iniwasan. This is the reason why criticisms can be part of this class because we are here to criticize, to really evaluate what's really about the source. Totoo ba ito? Baka chismis, baka fake. Ang dami ng fake ngayon, di ba? Minsan yung fake friends mo. Just kidding. What's this reality? That's why ako talaga sometimes, you don't have to trust anyone because not all of this anyone can be worth, trusted. Or they are really this kind of trustworthy. Same as with the sources. Bago mo pagtiwalaan yung sa sources, bago ka mag-publish out from the sources, you have to read it, you have to digest, you have to evaluate using internal and external criticism, which we are going to discuss on the next discussion. Their key function is to provide facts. Example, primary source, diaries ni Rizal, journals, letters, newspapers, magazine articles na magazine talaga ito na ginamit during that time. Government records, census, marriage, military, photographs, maps, postcards, posters, recorded or transcribed speeches ng mga president in the earlier interviews with participants. So, yung interview ka from the participants, consider yan siya. Pero yung akin kasi, yung ginawa ko sa lola ko, I don't think if it is still primary kasi nga, may mga ginawa na akong pagkakaiba. Kumbaga, ginawa naman ng creative style of writing. That's why sinasabi ko na, yung gawa kong module, it's already a secondary. Kasi, hindi talaga yung original. Kasi Tedorai, i-translate ko sa English. So, may mga changes na konti. So, it's no longer original. It's no longer fresh. May mga changes na. Okay? Interview with people, pero yung interview mo, wala kang binago yun talaga. So, that's primary. Or songs, plays, novels, stories, paintings, drawings, and sculptures. Take note na kapag primary, ito talaga is original talaga. No filter, ha? No filter. yung raw talaga siya, kung ano yung nakuha, yun talaga siya, that's primary. Sa interview mo, kapag hindi mo binago yung ibang statement, that's primary. Pero pag binago mo for some alternation, for some changes, creative writing, that's already secondary source. Now, what secondary source, on the other hand, are materials made by people long after the events being described have taken place to provide valuable interpretation or historical events. Long, ibig sabihin, interview mo siya, then ginawa mo ng maraming aklat, may mga binago ka, pinaganda mo, that's already secondary. Now, a secondary source analyzes and interprets primary sources. Secondary source will depend, will rely on the primary source. So, secondary na siya. So, out from that material sa interview, gawan mo siya ngayon ng write-ups, that's secondary. Interview mo ngayon si Magellan in the last day. Then, pag interview ko, yung sulat ko is gagawan ko ng article, gagawan ko ng libro, it's already secondary. Pero yung interview ko with Magellan, fresh, raw materials, that's secondary. So yun yung kaibahan. It is an interpretation of second hand. Take note interpretation of a second hand account of historical event, art, and theater reviews, newspaper or journal articles that interpret. So gumawa ka ng article ngayon about Magellan's regime, or the life of Marcos, the Marcos regime. Ginawa mo, pinaganda mo, ginawa mo ng mga theater review, na-publish ka sa newspaper or journal articles, wherein may mga gi-add ka, may mga ad-lib ka, may mga intro-intro ka, pinaganda mo using some journalistic features. So that's already secondary. Take note primary means the first, the original, yung virgin pa talaga. Wala kang binago, wala may gitandog. Secondary naman, there are some alterations, there are some changes, modification, interpretation that will lead to the beauty of it. Okay? So summary, source from artifacts that have been left by the past. Of course, we talk about that. So ikuan ko na lang. Ayan, primary oral, material evidence, social documents, narrative sources. These are three written. Kapag non-written naman, andun si oral and si material. Kapag written naman, ito si narrative, diplomatic, and social documents. Yeah. Okay? Anyway, I'm still now having problem kasi hindi ko ma-upload yung module ko. Kaya if ever na lang, during our class, pwede kayo mag-screenshot na lang muna. No? For the meantime. Kasi I already talked with the e-leads expert, e-leads in charge. Hindi pala na-fix yung aking problem. Like, I cannot upload module. I can create task, pero sa cellphone ko lang. Hindi ako ma-create sa laptop. I don't think what's the problem behind. But you know what? I'm trying my best to really, check it out. Pero as of the moment, hindi pa talaga ma-upload yung module. So if ever, just do some screenshot na lang, no, with our discussion. And as soon as maging okay na yung aking e-leads account, so I will upload everything. Now, sa mga hindi pa nakapag-submit ng ating Welcome to the Philippines is still accepted. So I will do some extension na lang later on. So I'm still, right after this class, I will extend it until tomorrow, 11 p.m. Para at least, there will be some, chances. You know what? Everybody deserves a second chance and extension. So as a teacher, hindi naman ako madamot in terms of that. For as long as makita ko yung interest ng estudyante, I believe naman that everybody is interested in my class. That's why with the activity that you have presented, it's really interesting. It's really engaging. It really shows that you really love Philippine history. And with that, especially those who have a lot of shares, views, comments, I'm really happy reading those comments. Like with that, you are already doing your best to pay back what has been done by our ancestors, by sharing, by inspiring people to love history, to really look into the importance of Philippine history because it's our life, it's our life. And it tells a lot about our lives, about our existence. Okay? It's already 2:08. Ma'am Chris Jill will be using this room. Medyo kuwan kasi kami ngayon. I am here in our school. I am having my physical duty. So maybe next week, work from home. Kaya hindi tayo masyadong maka-extend ng time. Now, for your activity, what's your activity? So since we talk about, so bibigyan ko yun. As our activity, I want you to find your own evidence at home, yung sa tingin nyo parang, or mga sinaunang kagamitan, or kung wala kayong sinaunang kagamitan or materials, pwedeng narrative, or pwedeng interviewin nyo si tatay nyo, si lola nyo about ano pang alam niya about history. So isulat nyo yan siya, you have to do some document about that, picturean si lola, then isubmit sa e-leads. Or if it is materials, so picturean mo yung materials, na available object, then gawan mo ng narrative, then picturean. Again, you find your own historical data at home, at your community, in your province. Kapag sa Capitol, pag dito lang kayo sa Isulan, marami dyan ng mga historical monuments, mga kagamitan. Or if there are museum in your place, in your school, in your house, so you can take some picture on that museum, certain na bagay, picturean mo yung bagay, then gawan mo ng interpretation. Ano bang meron sa bagay na yan? What does it tell about history? So magtanong-tanong kayo. Or kung walang available talaga, oral evidence. Like, you have to interview somebody, your lola, pwede mo bidyuhan, then isulat. Okay? Bidyuhan mo si lola mo habang nag-interview kayo, that she will tell a lot about history. So pwedeng isulat, pwedeng i-video. So if you have some question, just ask me in our GC and I will answer everything. So I will post this activity this Friday and it will be, it will be closed on Monday. Okay? So I hope everybody is fine. Again, don't forget to write your name in the comment section with your section for me to monitor your attendance. Okay? So once again, good afternoon. Goodbye everyone. See you next meeting. God bless.